So basically, we will be taking this verse, 4th canto, 29th chapter, verse number 69. So we'll go for the translation. Krishna consciousness means constantly associating with the Supreme Personality of Godhead in such a mental state that the devotee can observe the cosmic manifestation exactly as the Supreme Personality of Godhead does. Such observation is not always possible, but it becomes manifest exactly like the dark planet known as Rahu, which is observed in the presence of the full moon. So, first we'll try to understand what's the implication of this verse, and then we will probably go to the purport and see how Srila Prabhupada is beautifully translating this and giving a meaning to this. So here the verse is defining Krishna consciousness. It says it means constantly associating with the Supreme Personality of Godhead in such a mental state that the devotee can observe the cosmic manifestation exactly as the Supreme Personality of Godhead does. So, what does this mean? What does it mean when Krishna is saying that the devotee is, when the devotee observes the cosmic manifestation, everything in existence, basically his body, the desires, everything, subtle and gross things. When you observe that this cosmic manifestation, this universe, exactly the way Krishna does observe it, and in such an observational point, with such kind of a consciousness, when you associate with Supreme Personality of Godhead, that thing is known as Krishna consciousness. So, let us delve deeper into this concept. So, as we know, basically, there is a chapter in the Bhagavad Gita that talks about Kshetra and Kshetragya. So, let's go to that chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. So, in the 13th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna asked this question: "O my dear Krishna, I wish to know about Prakriti, nature, Purusha, enjoyer, and the field, and the knower of the field, and of knowledge and object of knowledge." The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "O body, this body, O son of Kunti, is called, known as the field, and one who knows this body is known as the knower of the field." So, basically, this body, because through the body we are observing the entire cosmic manifestation. So this body is also part of the cosmic manifestation. So it's like the starting point of observation for the soul. How the soul experiences the universe is via this body. It's happening through the body. So Krishna is saying this sharira is actually the sharira in the sense this body, and then the body includes everything, the whole universe, like Pancha Mahabhutas. As you can see in the further verses, he says, "O scion of Bharata, you should know, you should understand that I am also the knower in all bodies." Now he's saying there are two kinds of knowers. One is the Jivatma and one is Paramatma and pure devotees. And to understand this body and its knower is called knowledge. That is my opinion. So, so there are two kinds of knowers. One is the Jivatma and one is Paramatma. So now please hear my brief description of this field of activity and how it is constituted and what the changes are, whence it is produced, who that knower of the field of activity is, and what his influences are. So the knowledge of the field of activities and of the knower of the activities is described at various stages and various Vedic writings. It is especially presented in the Vedanta Sutra with all reasoning as to cause and effect. Verse number 7. The 5 great elements. Now we can see the entire universe is described here. False ego, intelligence, the unmanifested 10 the 10 senses of and the mind, the 5 sense objects, desire, hatred, happiness, distress, aggregate, the life symptoms, and the convictions. All these are considered in summary to be the field of activities and its interactions. So we'll see a diagram of this from the 3rd canto Srimad Bhagavatam. This is the aggregate, as you can see. From this diagram you can see how from the Mahatattva, the Ahankara layer is created, and then there is Jnana Shakti, Kriya Shakti, and Dravya Shakti. From the 3 bifurcations of Ahankara, material Ahankara, vikaras. And so one is the sattvic way, sattvic vikara of ahankara, which creates the mind, and then there is the rajasic, which creates the karmendriya, gyanendriya, buddhi and prana, and the tamasic, which creates the pancha mahabhutas and the five tanmatras, the sense of smell, sense of taste, because the elements are created from these senses. The senses are integrated into elements. When you remove the sense of taste from water, it becomes a sense of smell from earth, it becomes water. Sense of taste from water, it becomes actually fire. So there are different kinds of integrations that are happening on a core level. So this is the, if you can say, this also constitutes the Pancha Mahabhutas, the elements that were just listed in the verse and under discussion from the Bhagavad Gita chapter 13. This will include the entire universe actually. So we observe this cosmic, this is the cosmic manifestation actually. So we are observing this cosmic manifestation from our Sharira, which is our field of activity. So the field of activity starts from the Sharira and extends to the entire cosmic manifestation. So the entire cosmic manifestation as viewed by the Jivatma would constitute the field of activities, Kshetra. And the Supreme Personality Godhead is another form of knower. Now, why is knowing so important? Why is the entire dichotomy based on knower? Why is it said that Krishna knows the world in a different way and the Jivatma knows the world in a different way? There are two knowers. It doesn't say there are two kind of living entities, or it doesn't say something like that. It says there are two knowers. That means there are two distinct possible ways of knowing this cosmic manifestation. And we will see how there are two distinct cosmic manifestations from the Katha Upanishad and the Manduka Upanishad and so many other Upanishads. This is repeated again and again. So this Upanishad states, two birds, inseparable companions, perch on the same tree. One eats the fruit, the other looks on. The first bird is our individual self, feeding on the pleasures and the pains of his deeds, while the other is the universal self, silently witnessing them all. So we can see here that there are two ways of knowing this universe. One way of knowing this universe is like how Krishna knows the universe. He is simply an observer beyond the three modes. He is completely unattached to this entire universal pleasures, pains and stuff like that. This Upanishad specifically talks about pleasures and pains. As you can see, he is beyond the pleasures and pains of this world. He cannot sense the pleasures and pains of this world, Krishna. And the second bird, which is the individual bird, is completely hooked onto this bird. It's like a patient who's hooked onto a hospital bed. So his natural functions are all disabled. His heart is being run by a machine, a pacemaker, some kind of a external heart. His kidneys are being run by a dilator. His lungs are being run by a ventilator and stuff like that. So his natural function has all been disabled, and there is artificial functions that are running his entire system. That entire structure of the hospital, artificial systems, are known as the Ahankara layer. Because naturally speaking, the Jivatma is attached to Krishna. He is a part of Krishna. So Krishna's pleasures are the Jivatma's pleasures. Krishna's pains are the Jivatma's pains and stuff like that. But somehow in the material realm, this whole thing is recorded. It's not being recorded here. क्या मर गया, स्क्रीन रिकॉर्डर पे खराब हो गया. गॉड कृष्णा. Okay, it's getting recorded. So sorry. Krishna is playing pranks. Okay, so the screen recorder had gone dead. I thought it was not working. There are two birds. There are two novas of the field, and there are two birds, and these two birds are actually viewing the field in different ways. Okay, so let's go back to the Bhagavad Gita Kshetra Kshetragya topic. Where is it? Okay, we continue there. The knowledge of the field of activities and the knower of the activities described by various sages. Then he says the five great elements, the false ego, intelligence, the unmanifested, the 10 senses, and the mind, the 5 sense objects, desire, hatred, happiness, distress, aggregate, the life symptoms, the convictions, all these considered in summary to be the field of activities and its interaction. So that constitutes the chart that we saw. Basically the entire cosmic manifestation. Then after that Krishna talks about the qualifications, and then after that he goes to, I shall now explain the knowable, knowing which you shall see the eternal Brahman, the spirit beginningless, subordinate to me, lies beyond the cause and effect of this material world. So he says the material world starts from the layer of Ahankara, Pradhana and stuff like that, and beyond that lies Brahman basically. Everywhere are his hands, legs, his eyes, heads, faces, and he has ears everywhere. In this way the super soul exists, pervading everything. So he can sense and perceive everything, everywhere. But at the same time, it is very clear that he cannot perceive the happiness and distress of the living entities inside the material realm. Although he can see and sense every single activity, he can go to any place in the world, he can access any location of the universe, he is present in every single place, he can perceive every single thing, but at the same time he is beyond the three modes of the material nature. Super soul is the original source of all senses, yet he is without senses. So basically, our material senses are created from Krishna, because again we will see how it is created actually. So that was in the last one of the videos we've seen how the material senses come from Rishi. He is known as Rishikesha. So everything in the material world is created from Krishna only basically. Krishna, and so we had discussed the verse where it is known as Adhyatma, Adibhuta, Adidaiva. So all the three things are created from Krishna's. So every pleasure that you feel in the material world is coming from Krishna. So the beauty of the woman is not actually the woman, but it's Krishna's presence inside the woman that makes the woman beautiful. So we are running not after the woman but after Krishna actually in this world also. So but he is just because the material sex life, the material happiness, the taste of the water, it's all Krishna, but at the same time it is not Krishna also. Yatha mahanti bhutani bhuteshu uchchavacheshvanu pravishtani apravishtani tata teshu na tesvaham. Although he is present everywhere, in the Chaturshloki Bhagavatam it is mentioned that although the 5 elements are there everywhere, but for example the fire is there in every place, even the wood it is there, but you don't worship the fire in the wood actually, you worship the Agni Dev. So the water is there in the gutter water also, but you don't go. So in the Vedanta Sutra it means Ambu Vadagrahana Tuna Tathatvam Vriddhi Rasa Bhaktvam Antarbhavat Ubhaya Samanjasya Devam. So Vyasadev says that everything is coming because he Tat Pradhanatvat, because Krishna is the supreme. Arupavat Deva hi Tat Pradhanatvat Prakashava Chhave Yarthyat Ahajatana Matramata Eva Chopma Surya Kadiva Ambu Vadagrahana Tuna Tathatvam. So he says in the Vedanta Sutras, that everything is coming from Krishna, therefore he is everything in one sense. Brahman his body is the source of everything. But at the same time he is not everything. Why? Because just because the prostitute, beauty of the prostitute, the romance that you are feeling for the prostitute is coming from Krishna. 100% is coming from Krishna. The taste of the water is coming from Krishna. Taste of the wine is also coming from Krishna. But if you run after the prostitute thinking there is absolutely no difference between Krishna and the prostitute, then that is a big problem, because Krishna is situated somewhere else. He is independently situated. Dhrigarupamakham vapuratra randre parasparam siddhyati hasvatake atmaya desham aparoya adhya swaya anubhutya akhila siddha siddhi. This is Adhyatma Adibhuta Adidaiva verse, which from the Srimad Bhagavatam, which says that the Supreme Lord, just like let's give an example. Just like George Harrison says that everybody is running after Krishna. Some people know it and some people don't know it. So we are all running after Krishna because the beauty of the woman, the taste of the water is all Krishna only. Everything that is beautiful is just a spark of his splendor. But that doesn't mean that Krishna is everything. It is not that Krishna is material. Because matter comes from Krishna. That doesn't mean Krishna becomes material. Because the senses are coming from Krishna, that doesn't mean Krishna has the material senses. No. Krishna is completely beyond the senses, beyond the matter. But the source of that is Krishna. So, if you see, in both the case of Dhanurdas and in the case of Surdas, Bevamangal Thakur, What happened was the Surdas was running madly after the prostitute. He was completely crazy after the prostitute, and the prostitute tells him that, Arey Baba, the beauty that is coming from me, the romance that you're feeling for me, it's all coming from Radha and Krishna. The original source of this is Krishna, because a spark of that splendor is there within me. That's why you're crazy after, you're running after me in a absolutely infatuated way. So this infatuation, actually, just a spark of Krishna is creating this infatuation inside you. So just imagine if you were to run after the original Krishna, original Radharani and Krishna, if you're supposed to serve them and enjoy with them and see their Leela and experience their romance, then what kind of romantic feelings you'll be having, what kind of happiness you'll be having. Surdas, the moment he heard this, he instantly transformed. Jara marana mokshaya माम आश्रित्य यतन्तिये ते ब्रह्म तद विदु कृत्स्नम अध्यात्मन कर्म छाकिलम. So Krishna says, स्वसादि भूतादि दैवम माम सादि यज्ञंश्च ये विदुर प्रयाण काले पिछा माम ते विदुर युक्त चेतस. Then he says anta kale cha maam eva smaran. He says anybody who knows adhyatma, adhibhuta, adhidaiva, and who knows that I am only I am Sad Adhibhuta, means the one who's accompanying the Adhibhuta, material body, Paramatma, and Sadhi Yagya, and Sa means he, that, Adi Yagya, that is also me, Sadhi Bhuta Adi Daivam is me only. When you understand that, then Prayana Kala, at the time of death, you will remember me. And what happens when the person remembers? Then after next two verses, he will go back to Godhead. So Anta Kalecha, how do you remember Krishna at the time of death? By understanding this concept that Krishna is the taste of the water, Krishna is the romance of the woman. So even Dhanurdas, when he saw the beauty of the eye of the prostitute, he was completely, bewitched. But then he was mesmerized, in fact. So, but Ramanujacharya told him that the source of the beauty of the eye is Ranganath. Then he goes and tells Ranganath, please show him the eyes. You're not showing him the eyes. So Ranganath finally reveals his eyes to Dhanurdas, and then he realizes that the beauty of the prostitute, the lady, everything was coming from Krishna only. Then he becomes mad after Krishna. So within 1 second, Bivamangal Thakur and Dhanurdas become Paramahamsas when they realize it. Prabhupada says a person who's drinking wine, if he realizes the fact that the taste of this wine is coming from Krishna, then instantly he becomes the highest yogi. This is a quote directly from Srila Prabhupada. So when you understand that Krishna is the source of all pleasures in the world, so Adhi Atma, Adhi Bhuta, Adhi Daiva, what does it mean? Adhi Atma is the internal part within us, our internal senses, and these are secrets, so we cannot reveal exactly what it is. But to say in a very simplified way, the Adhyatma is actually running after Adhidaiva. Adhidaiva is Krishna, actually. The beauty of the girl is Adhidaiva. The taste of the water is Adhidaiva. So all these different things, they are Adhidaiva. Purusha Shadi Daivatam. Adhiyagyo Hame Vatra. Deha Brathan Vrata. So Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Purusha, I myself Purusha. Some acharyas define Purusha as a universal Purusha something, but as a demigod sometimes, the principle of demigods. But some acharyas also define Purusha as Krishna himself. So Krishna is saying, I am the Adhidaiva principle. I am the Adhidaiva. That means the beauty of the girl is me. So your Adhyatma is attracted to my Adhipota. Yo dhyatmiko yam purusha so savevadi daivikaha yas tatro bhaya vichchedah purusho hyadi bhautikaha. That means yo adhyatmika, that which is adhyatmika within you, that is attracted to the Adhidaiva principle within the other body, other personality. They want to become one, they want to unite. That is the principle of sense and sense gratification. Everything is made possible. Akhila Siddha Siddhi, everything is made possible just because Krishna's presence. Like your senses want to enjoy with the girl's senses. Adhidaiva principle. Your Adhyatma wants to enjoy with Adhidaiva. That which is in between, that which separates you is Adhibhuta, material body. So you think, my body is attracted to her body. No, it is your Adhyatma, the spiritual part within you. The component of Ananda within you, Satchit Ananda, Jivatma is Satchit Ananda. The core component, the soul's core component of Ananda is attracted to Krishna's Adhidaiva within the principle of Adhidaiva within the girl. So inside us, our component is attracted to Krishna's component in the girl, and that which comes in between is the body. And so we think my body is attracted to that body, but it's actually not like that. Your soul's core component is attracted to the Krishna's principle within matter. known as Adidaiva, which Krishna, because without Krishna nothing can be attractive in this world. He's a source, he's a Rishikesha. All the senses are attracted to Krishna only. He's the master of senses because his presence, he's the source of the senses. Everything, he's the source of that. So, but he doesn't have these material qualities, even though he is the cause of all these material qualities. So, it's a very big topic which we have discussed in previous videos. We will not repeat any of these things. We just summarily explained this whole thing. So, the whole concept is again Dhriga Rupam Arkham. Dhriga is the sense of sight within us, which we want to see a beautiful girl. Imagine, okay? I'm giving the example because this is very relatable, easily understandable by young people also. So your sense of sight is attracted to the girl. So Dhriga is attracted to Rupam. But Rupam, how is Rupam created? Arkham Vapur, the body of the sun. Arkham Vapur Atra Randhre. It enters the whole of your eye. And Parasparam Siddhyati. The reciprocation between Dhriga and Rupa is Siddhyati, is made possible. Parasparam Siddhyati Swatah ke. One by the sun's body inside the whole of your eye, which is, and the sun is situated Swatah ke, independent. He is not a part of the material world. So it doesn't mean that sun is also material. He has material senses. No, sun is situated separately. So sun's rays are hitting the girl's body. Then they are reflecting from the girl's body. So what is entering your eyes is not the girl. It has nothing to do with the girl. It has no connection with the girl. It has to do with the sun. So the light that is entering you is sun, not the girl. So your eyes are going mad and crazy. Dhanurdas wanted to look at the prostitute like a madman, but it was not the girl, but he was mad after the sun, because what was entering the eyes of Dhanurdas was not the shape of the girl's eyes, but it was sun rays that were entering. The sun modulated those. So the sun was giving pleasure to Dhanurdas's eyes. And what is sun? Sun is Krishna, Adideva principle. So Atmaya Desham Aparoya Adhyah. Atma is among all the universal elements. Atma or Krishna is like Aparoya Adhyah. He is like this principle of the sun. Swaya Anubhutya, by his own experience, by his own Anubhuti. Akhila Siddha Siddhi. He is making everything Siddhi, everything possible. What is possible? Everything is possible means Anandamayo Abhyasad. Everybody is running after Ananda. Everything that is world, everything is running behind enjoyment. So everything is made possible. All this enjoyment, Akhila Siddha Siddhi, is made possible by Krishna. But then you can see Vedanta Sutra, Vyasadeva says, Ambu Vadagrahana Tuna Tathatvam. He says, before that he says, Ahacha Tanamatram. That is it, because he's the source. You know, he's the source of everything. First Vedanta Sutra, third 3 point something, I don't know, I forgot. But in that, Vyasadeva says that Arupa Vadevahi Tad Pradhanat. He is known as Arupa because everything is coming from him. All the things in the world, form, space, time, everything is coming from his body. That's why he is known as Arupa. And then he says that Acha Tanamatram. That is why he is also known as Tanamatras, because everything is coming from him. So that is why he is compared to Tanmatras of this world. That's taste of the water, everything. But then he says he's not water. Taste of the water is the first Tanmatra that comes to our mind. Then he says, Ambu Vadagrahana Tuna Tathatvam. Ambu Agrahanat. You cannot take him just like water. Exactly, you cannot accept Krishna just like water. Although he is the taste of the water, you cannot say he has got material elements inside him. No, because Vriddhi Rasa Bhaktam, increase and decrease part of the water, like the fluctuations of water. Riddhi Rasa Bhaktam Antarbhavat, because he is being the inner principle, the cause of everything. He is the Dravya principle inside water. Padharteshu Yatha Dravyam Satmatram Rupa Namasu Pancha Bijadi Panchatantasu Hi Avasthasu Yatayatam. Like Brahman is the source of everything. He is the Padharteshu Yatha Dravyam. He is the source of that Dravya. He is the Dravya principle inside matter. So because he is the quantum mechanical energy inside the matter, quantum mechanics is ultimately the source of matter. But the material qualities of matter are not affecting the quantum mechanical energy fields of the matter. Just like, for example, simple example is the water is there inside the stool of a hog. It is horrible. It is smelly, it's dirty. You cannot touch that water. You cannot accept that water. It's horrible. It's a part of material world. You can say material world is like entire material world is a stool of the hog, actually. It's like that. Spiritual world is something different. All the rasas are different. And in the material world, all the rasas are different. It's horrible. But matter can be compared to, like, water. There is water inside the stool of a hog. But the water is dirty. But the atoms, molecules, and the electrons inside water can never be dirty, because they are the antarbhavat principle. Ambu vadagrana tuna tathatvam vriddhi rasa bhaktvam antarbhavat. Because of being the inner principle, they are the inner principle. Because of being the inner principle, they are not affected by the changes, vriddhi and rasa. He is a very great soul. I mean, Shakti Avatar. So he won't be using horrible analogies like how I am using, but he is saying the increasing and decreasing qualities of water do not affect the quantum mechanical inner principle. He doesn't get affected by that. So I am saying the dirtiness of the water, like with the stool, the water is horribly dirty and smelly, but the inner principle of water, being the inner principle, he is completely unaffected by dirtiness of the water. Like the atoms are completely unaffected, and Krishna is like the atomic principle of the water. He is the source of that dravya principle. Padartheshu yatha dravyam. So again, coming back to our example, that although you are attracted to the girl, the light is coming from the sun, and the sun's rays are what is attracting you. You are attracted to sun's rays. He is Rishikesha, not the girl. So in the same principle, you can understand all. Even sex life is coming from Krishna. He puts a clause that, that which is not opposed to religion is me. So, but everything, the entire principle of enjoyment of sex life comes from Krishna only, ultimately. Everything is coming from him. But he cannot identify himself with anything negative in this world, because Krishna is only positive, basically. So the material negativity comes because Krishna wants to punish you. When you want to enjoy, things separate from Krishna. So we have given an example of that husband who, the wife has left the husband and she is running after the lover, but the lover itself is the husband only, in disguise. So material world is Krishna only in disguise. It's like a transformation of Krishna from milk into curd, which is Lord Shiva, basically, the Lord of Pradhan. So it's a disguised way of Krishna. But matter is also coming from Brahman. Ultimately, source of matter, source of Shiva is also Krishna only, ultimately. But Krishna is not affected by matter. He is not touched by matter. He doesn't enter matter, first of all. So he's covered. Everything is that false person whom the wife has left the husband, original Krishna, and she is running after the material world, the false person. Maya mrigham daita ipsitaman vadhavat vande mahapurushate charanaravindam. So in the way, we are also running after the material world. We are searching happiness inside the material realm. But the problem is Krishna. So we are saying, oh, I am running after Krishna only. No, the material world is also created from Krishna's energy only. That other person who's disguised person is also Krishna only. But Krishna doesn't like it, because he wants you to love his original self, not the transformed self. So the moment you love his transformed self, he'll create terrible pain and suffering and horrible. Of course, he cannot touch any of these worlds, so he is beyond this world. The Janma Karma Chame Divyam, so he cannot understand all these things. But he doesn't come under the purview of the material realm at all. So he cannot understand the happiness, suffering, distress of the material world, because he is like unattached to the material world. But so I am giving a lot of data in a small little this, because otherwise the lecture will go on for 5 hours, I think. So we're just touching on this data. We cannot really go elaborating on all these subject matters. It will be too much, because there are other videos also. You can please check it out if you want. So in short, again, when we are saying that there are two knowers of the field, okay, one is how Krishna views this material world, like the bird who's unattached to the fruits, and the other knower of the field, or the knower of the cosmic manifestation, is the Jivatma. So the Krishna and his pure devotees are Param Purusham Param. They are like considered as one only. They are not considered different. So a pure devotee also considered as a part of Krishna's category only. So what is that? Bhakti Yogena Manasi Samyak Pranitah Amale Apashyat Purusham Purnam Mayam Cha Tadapashrayam. So Purusham Purnam includes Prabhupada, Shaktis, everybody. Maya jo hai, and the Jaya Sammohito Jiva Atmanan Triguna. He saw three things: Maya, the Jivatmas, and Krishna. Jivatmas were only those Jivatmas who were bound by Maya, not those Jivatmas who were liberated from Maya. So that means when you say that the two knowers of the field, that first knower also includes pure devotees like Prabhupada and everybody. That's Kshetragya. So Kshetragya also includes Prabhupada and Krishna. And the other knower is us. So the way we look at the world, what is happening is, let us see how we look at the world. First, let's finish this Kshetra Kshetragni, then we'll come to the next category, or how Krishna's birth, his janma is transcendental, his karma is transcendental. Because just you know this, you will get liberated from the material world also. So now the supreme truth exists inside and outside of all living beings, just like we saw in the Vedanta Sutras, like quantum mechanical energy, the moving and the unmoving. Beyond because he's subtle, and also he says the super soul is the origin source of all senses. As I told you, he's the taste of the water, he's the beauty of the girl, but he's without senses. But that doesn't mean he's a part of the material world. Ambu vadagrana tuna tathatvam. So that says he is unattached, although he is the maintainer of all living entities. He's completely unattached. Why? Then we'll see why he is unattached. He transcends the modes of nature. Very important point here. Janma karma chame divyam. At the same time, he is the master of the modes of material nature. So same thing. He doesn't come under it, but he is controlling it. This is very important, very, very important topic right now. Krishna cannot understand the pain, suffering, everything of within the what the Jivatma is experiencing within matter. Because he is beyond, when wherever he goes, Maya cannot exist. Maya cha tadapashrayam. She is hiding behind Krishna, hiding under Krishna, surrendering to Krishna. She cannot be in front of Krishna. So Krishna cannot see Maya. But he is the source of Maya. But at the same time, he cannot see Krishna. Just like the spider creates his own web, but he cannot be trapped by the web. He cannot be subjected to the effects of the web. Although web is coming from him, he is completely transcendental to the web. This is also something from the Shastras only. So this is very important. That Krishna says that although I am a part of the material world, I can come, but I am totally interfaced in the material world in a different. I know the world in a different way. You know the world in a different way. You are enjoying the world, but I am not enjoying. I am just observing the world. I am enjoying it in a different way. I am also enjoying. But I am enjoying the material world in a spiritual way. How is he enjoying the material world in a spiritual way? By performing his leelas. Nitya leela, Jiva Goswami says, Nitya leela, Sansara leela and Shrishti leela. What is Nitya leela of Krishna? How is he enjoying? Without touching the material world, he is seeing the material world as spiritual world, and he is enjoying everything in that way. Nitya leela of Krishna is, he is enjoying all the different leelas, Narsimha leela, Vaman leela. He comes to the material world, but he doesn't touch the material world. He enjoys the leela with his pure devotees and with the non-devotees also. Same thing, like Hiranyakashipu with fighting with Hiranyakashipu, Kamsa. He is enjoying with everybody. In the same way, in the form of Paramatma, he is there in the heart of every living entities, and he is also enjoying Samsara leela with them. What is Samsara leela? Samsara leela is trying to get the living entities to go back to the spiritual world. Please come with me, you will not enjoy in this material world. So in that way, he is kicking every living entity, creating a Dukhalayam situation for all the living entities in the material world. And of course, he is the supreme enjoyer, so he enjoys everything, just like Tom and Jerry. So he is like small little Jerry, and we are like Tom, the cat who has left Jerry, and he's gone after a female cat. So Jerry comes and destroys, devastates his world. He creates all mischief and all karma and all these things, and then he starts creating and entangling Tom, and Tom gets beaten up by the other cats. Finally, Tom surrenders and comes back to Jerry. So this is how Jerry does a lot of pain to Tom, but it's all funny because the soul cannot be killed. So ultimately, when the viewers don't see when Tom is getting beaten, kicked and bruised, they laugh. Everybody laughs because Tom is invulnerable. In the same way, Krishna does not see the suffering of the material world. He sees everybody as a soul. So in that way, when he even creates all these mischievous situations with the soul, he enjoys his samsara leela with the soul. So that is known as samsara leela of Krishna in the material world. So all three leelas, he doesn't touch the material world at all, although he is the enjoyer of the material world. Bhoktaram Yagitapasam Sarva Loka Maheshwaram Suhurdam Sarva Bhutanam is the friend of all of us, like this Tom and Jerry. But at the same time, it doesn't touch the material world. This is one of the most important things. So now we'll go to the next verse. The Supreme Truth exists outside and inside of all living beings, the moving and the unmoving, because he is subtle, he is beyond the power of the material senses. This is all we have covered right now. Although far away, he is near. That means he is there in every single atomic entity. He is pervading everything as Paramatma. Although Super Soul appears to be divided among living beings, he is never divided. He is situated as one. Although he is the maintainer of every living entity, it is to be understood that he devours and develops all. So basically, although he is a maintainer, but he creates and destroys also everything. So why does he not exactly create and destroy? Because he creates and destroys through secondary delegates. So Shiva and Brahma are his secondary delegates. Mode of passion and mode of ignorance is Lord Shiva, and mode of passion is Lord Brahma. So he is creating and destroying the world through that. Why? Because that involves coming in touch with the matter. And as we've seen in the previous verses, Krishna can never touch the modes of material nature. But maintaining means what? Maintaining means there is nothing maintaining. Maintaining means he's just enjoying, that's all. So he's enjoying the material world without touching even Sattva Guna. Without even touching the Sattva Guna, he is actually maintaining the material world. Maintaining the material world in the sense he is enjoying the material world, basically. So husband is maintaining this family means he is enjoying the family. He is the enjoyer in the family. And everybody is there. So in that sense, he's like the king who's maintaining in the sense he's enjoying. He just enjoys. He doesn't create and destroy because that involves touching the material world. He doesn't touch the material world. Although he's a maintainer, but he's understood that he's a divorce and developer because everybody reports to him only ultimately. Lord Shiva is completely a transparent via medium for Maya Devi, Yoga Maya to work through him via Durga. So Yoga Maya reports to Krishna, so everything is happening as per Krishna's desire. Vasudevam Sarvamiti. A pure devotee sees the material world as Krishna's doing. Everything is happening as Krishna's desire. But when he sees something disconnected from Krishna, Rithayartham yat pratiyata na pratiyata chhatmani tadavidyad mayam yatha bhaso yatha tamah. So if he sees anything in this world as disconnected from Krishna, that means the observer is inside Maya. If he thinks that, oh, somebody slapped you, oh, this devotee has slapped me. So if he thinks that the devotee has slapped him, that means he is seeing the event as being disconnected from Krishna. Krishna has nothing to do with this slap. It's this devotee who has slapped me. But if he sees Krishna as connected, everything connected to Krishna, then he sees absolute only Krishna, Vasudeva Sarvamiti. So he sees, oh, so physically when you see everything is connected to Krishna, Brahman, that becomes Sat realization, Vasudevam Sarvamiti. When you see everything is happening by Krishna, orchestrated by the Paramatma, so even the slaps and the events of this world, then you see Vasudevan Sarvamiti in the Chit realization, Satchit realization. And Vasudevan Sarvamiti in the Satchit Ananda realization, what happens is when you see the universe as like the happiness that you're getting is all coming from Krishna. So the girl, you're not attracted to the girl, the happiness is not coming from the romance, but the romance is coming from Krishna and Radharani's romance, which is inside the material romance. So everything, the taste of the water is Krishna, the beauty, the happiness that I'm experiencing in this world is all coming from Krishna. So when you see that, you become Satchit Ananda realization. So Sat realization, seeing the material world as coming from Krishna's body. Chit realization, the events of this world as coming orchestrated by Krishna's energy. And Ananda realization that every happiness is nothing but Krishna and Radharani. It's all coming from Radha Krishna union. It's all coming from the spiritual world. So when you see a beautiful thing, you say, oh, it's so beautiful, it's so full of happiness. It's a part of Krishna's happiness. Oh, imagine how happy I'll be, just like Surdas when he saw. There's Satchit Ananda realization, this romance that I'm feeling from this prostitute, the original romance is coming from the spiritual world. The happiness is coming from there, Radha and Krishna. So if I should go there, why am I running after a drop of happiness in this material realm when the entire ocean of that happiness from which the perverted drop is coming from the ocean of happiness? So this is Satchit Ananda realization, Vasudeva Sarvamiti again. So there are three, even Vasudeva Sarvamiti I think is like got three different categories. So here he is the source of light of all luminous objects. He is beyond the darkness. So exactly the same thing that we are discussing. So he's saying that all the source of everything, Adhyatma, Adibhuta, Adideva, is all coming from Krishna. He is the knowledge. He is the origin. He is the object of knowledge, and he is the goal of knowledge. And he is situated in everyone's heart. Knowledge, object, and goal. So as he say, Adhyatma is his energy, which is trying to attract him. Is the Ananda energy. That is also coming from Krishna, Adhyatma. Adideva is Krishna's principle. Sandhini principle inside other living entities. And Adibhuta is a transformation of Krishna, which is coming in between. So a boy attracted to a girl is nothing but the Adhyatma part getting attracted to Adideva, and the thing that is coming in between is the bodies, material bodies. So I'm thinking my body is attracted to that body, that becomes Maya. But when you understand that my Adhyatma, which is actually Ananda Shakti of Krishna, is getting attracted to Adideva, which is actually Sandhini potency of Krishna inside the other living entity, the physical aspect of Krishna. So if that is happening, and actually it's not me, but I'm attracted to Krishna, I'm not attracted to the girl. If you start thinking in that fashion, I'm not attracted to the wine, but I'm attracted to Krishna within the wine. So the emotional, specifically the emotional part, when you see a mother is attracted to the child, oh, it's not me, but it's my mamta or my motherly love, that is actually a part of my Adhyatma, which is attracted to my Ananda Shakti, is attracted to my child, which is the Adideva principle of Krishna present within the child. So I am attracted so much to that child, my child. So it's I'm attracted to Krishna actually, not to the child. But because Krishna is principle is present, Adidaiva is present in the child. So again the same thing. He is the object of knowledge. He is the knowledge, object, and the goal also. So again, Adidaiva, Adhyatma, Adibhuta, everything. So he is situated in everyone's heart. Thus, the field of activities, knowledge and knowledge have been summarily described by me. Only my devotees can understand this thoroughly and attain to my nature. So, becoming a devotee of Krishna is absolutely essential for this. Otherwise, we cannot. Krishna won't reveal all these things to us. So from this, then we see the Katha Upanishad also, how Krishna. So now we'll say, when Krishna is saying Janma Karma Chame Divyam Evam Yoveti Tattvataha, what does he mean? Because if you understand this, you are going back to Godhead 100%. Because Krishna says, anybody who knows my Janma and Karma to be Divya in Tattva. So we are repeating a lot of things here because the fundamentals, people are not going to watch all the videos. So I'm just putting everything in a one video. So here, the two birds, one is Krishna, one is the Jivatma, and we are talking about Janma Karma Chame Divyam. So what does it mean? So how is Krishna's Janma happening in this world? So let's go to that topic. Yeah, here it is. Ajopi san avyayatma bhutanam ishvaropi san prakritim swam adhishtaya sambhavai mi atma mayaya. So Krishna is saying in the 4th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, just before Janma Karma Chame, 2 verses before that, he's saying, although I am unborn and my transcendental body never deteriorates, and although I am the Lord of all living entities, by my internal energy I appear in every millennium in my original transcendental form. So he says, very important word, the word to be noted here is Atma Mayaya. That Krishna does not come to this world through Mahamaya, through Krishna's external energy. He's coming through internal energy. Now let's see. This is the secret of Krishna's Janma. Okay, what is the secret of Krishna's Janma? Then we'll see Krishna's Karma, because it is related to Janma only actually. Because his Janma is in a different way, his Karma are totally different from his Janma, from our Karma. So Krishna can never be bound by Karma. One who knows that, he is also not bound by Karma. Means Krishna's Janma he knows, and Karma also he knows what it is actually. Then he is not bound by Karma. Because Krishna can never be bound by Karma at all, because there is no question of any kind of Karma or any kind of. His work is completely, totally different because his Janma is different. And let's see how Jivatma enters this world and how Krishna enters the world. And his pure devotees enter the world. Krishna means his pure devotee. Prabhupada, Krishna, they are all in the same category. They enter the world through Yogamaya. Whereas we enter the world through Mahamaya. So, now we'll go to this system. It's a little difficult, a little technical, but it will help us understand. So this is the system. This is Bhanu Maharaj's chart, I guess. Many years ago I had seen this, I was attracted to it. It's from the 3rd canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. So what is happening is, Pradhana is the principle of matter. So Krishna, as you know, is a source of Sandhini, Samvita and Ladini. These are 3 spiritual energies. The energy of existence is known as Sandhini. The energy by which you get life force or cognizance is known as Samvit Shakti. And the energy by which you get Ananda or emotions. Okay, so every person has a body, he has got a mind, and he has got emotions. So these 3 parts of Krishna constitute Krishna, and they are Achintya Bheda Bhed. They are non-different from Krishna, but they are devotees of Krishna. All Sandhini, Samvit and Ladini. Ladini is Radharani, and these 2 other people are secret. Nobody knows who they are actually. So now what happens is, this Krishna is milk, Sandhini, Samvit, Ladini, gets converted into something known as curd. And that curd is another person, Achintya Bheda Bhed. Again, he is a different personality, that curd personality. And this is eternally happening. So the curd is actually matter, basically. Milk is Sandhini, Samvit, Ladini. Curd is Sattva-guna, Rajoguna, Tamaguna, made from something known as Pradhana. The Lord of Pradhana in the Brahma Samhita is referred to as Lord Shiva. He is known as the Upadana Karana, or the material cause of the cosmic manifestation, Lord Shiva. Material cause means the elemental cause. And the other thing is the efficient cause, which is known as the Nimitta Karana in the Shastra. So the elemental cause means, just like a carpenter, we have table. The table is made from wood. So wood is the elemental cause. Whereas the one who is operating the wood, and who's making the table, and who's operating the table, just like a car is there. One who's making the car and who's operating the car, that is the mechanic and the driver. Both are one single person. Let's assume that it's the same person. You know, the mechanic who made the car and the driver who's driving the car, both are the same people. And the car itself, the machine from the steel from which the car is made, that is a different thing. There are two categories: steel and the operator who operates the car, who creates the car from the steel and operates it. So in this case, the machine itself, this material world, material cosmos, the material cause, Brahma Samhita clearly states material cause is Lord Shiva. That means the curd is matter and the milk is spirit. Everything that, so ultimately milk is present inside curd. So Brahman is the underlying cause of Lord Shiva's body also. Matter is also created from Brahman only ultimately. Everything underlying is Brahman actually. So what is that? Padartheshu yada dharvam satmatram surupa namaso bijadi panchatantasu hi avastasu युतायुतम व्यथिरेखान्वयो यस्य जाग्रत स्वप्न सुषुप्तिषु माया मायेषु तद्ब्रह्मन् जीव वृत्तिषु अपाश्य 12th canto Srimad Bhagavatam. So it says that everything, the underlying principle is Brahman. Aham evasam evagre nanyad yat sad asat parampar paschat aham yad etatcha tad aham evasam evagre nanyad yat sad asat param paschat aham yad etatcha yo vashishyeta sosmiham. So here also he is saying that everything that, underlying principle, right from the creation to maintenance, right now also, the underlying principle is constantly Brahman only, Krishna's body only, and the one that remains in the end is also Krishna's body ultimately after destruction, everything. So the underlying principle of matter itself is Brahman or Krishna's spiritual energy. So, but the matter curd is a transformation of the matter. So this transformed matter creates the modes Sattva Guna, Rajoguna, Tamoguna. Just like we have Sandhini, Samvit, Ladini. They get transformed or perverted into a painful and horrible condition for the soul. When the soul is trapped inside, soul is a part of Sandhini, Samvit, Ladini actually. Soul is Sandhini, Samvit, Ladini, Sat, Chit, Ananda. But when it is overlaid or trapped inside Sandhini, Samvit, Ladini's transformations, known as Ahankara layer, then what happens? The soul gets transformed into a new, he starts feeling that Parupe Manuthe Anartham. He starts identifying with this matter and he gets tremendous pain. It's only pain, there is no pleasure. Pleasure is simply illusory. It's simply, there is no hardly any pleasure. 90%, 99% is on pain only in the material realm. So the soul gets trapped inside this matter. So what happens? How it is trapped? So this is the entire trap that you can see right now. And Krishna does not come through this. However, just like I told you, when you are in the hospital, then your kidneys are not functioning, your natural structure is all destroyed. Everything is artificial. Kidneys dilator machine takes care of, overlays your kidneys and it takes charge of your kidney function. Your heart function is taken over by heart machine and your ventilators are taking over the lung function. Everything is artificial. You don't experience your natural state of existence. In fact, you're in a coma kind of situation, very anesthesia kind of situation. So this Jivatma is similarly in a very dream-like situation and he is completely put inside artificial machines. And this entire machinery, the entire structure, this hospital is known as Ahankar. So in the spiritual realm, every living entity is connected to Krishna. His Chit is a part of Krishna's Chit. Sat is a part of Krishna's Sat. His Ananda is part of Krishna's Ananda. All three. So we are like hands which are connected to the body. The body is Krishna. Now the hand is cut off and it is connected to a ventilator system, a machine, an artificial system of existence. But the hand cannot really be cut off, but the hand feels as if it has been cut off. That is known as Maya, that which is not. Actually, this entire structure that you see is Maya actually. So the Upadana Karana is Lord Shiva, basically the entire hospital structure. And the doctors and the technicians who have created the hospital from scratch, that is Maya. Maya has got two functionalities. One is Yoga Maya, who is the internal potency of Krishna, and then she operates a machinery, an outer covering, a shadow, which she operates because she cannot touch the material realm. She is beyond the material realm. So she creates that shadow out of Krishna's body, Lord Shiva's body, and that shadow, that machinery, that drone functionality, that robot is known as Mahamaya or Durga, which is completely non-cognizant because Shiva's body, Durga is Shiva's potency and Shiva's basically Lord of Death. It's Tamoguna. It's basically the very principle of Tamoguna is the Panchamahabhuta and stuff. So basically it is this energy of Lord, energy is created and that machinery, through the machinery, Yogamaya operates the material realm. because Yog Maya is the internal potency of Krishna. So as we know, because the machinery insulates Yog Maya from matter, so Yog Maya cannot understand the functionality of matter. She cannot touch matter. Matter is handled by Shiva and Brahma. She is operating everything, but through the machine known as Durga. Because that machine is non-cognizant and dead matter, Yog Maya has no understanding of what is suffering and happiness the Jivatma undergoes in the material realm. Because Yog Maya is not understanding that, because she is not in contact with matter, Krishna cannot understand what is happening. So Krishna has no contact. So as you can see in all the verses, as you till now, there are two knowers of this field. One knower is the Jivatma, the other knower is Krishna. Krishna knows this universe in a different way. We know this universe in a different way. Because, and Prabhupada and all, they know the universe just like Krishna. They are known as Nitya Siddhas and we are known as Nitya Baddhas. So what is Nitya Siddhas? Nitya Siddhas means, Nitya is constant. Constant Nitya Seva. Nitya Seva means everyday Seva for the Lord, what we do. Nitya Seva. Nitya means constant. And Nitya Siddha means one who constantly sees only Krishna, only spiritual realm. He cannot see. He is color blind to the material realm. Pure devotee and Krishna. Both of them are Nitya Siddhas. Of course, he is Nitya Siddha, Nityo Nityanam. Krishna is Nityo Nityanam, not just Nitya Siddha. He is also the source of everybody. He is absolute truth. But the Jivatmas who are pure devotees of Krishna, they are Nitya Siddha. They constantly see only spiritual world, inside the material world. But inside the material world, we living entities, we are Nitya Baddhas in the sense we are constantly see only matter. Even in Krishna, we see matter. When we are offered prasad, we only taste sugar. When we chant holy name, we only taste material sounds. But the holy name tastes us, the prasad tastes us, and Krishna has our darshan. We cannot see Krishna's darshan. We have darshan of Krishna, no doubt. We know that it is Krishna himself, but he is covered by a layer of Maya. Vrindavan is covered by a layer of a curtain of Maya. Everything is covered by a curtain of Maya. So basically, we see only matter. That matter curtain of matter covers our eyes. So we cannot see Krishna, we cannot taste Krishna, we cannot feel Krishna until we are liberated from the material realm, when we come under the control of Yog Maya. Right now we are seeing everything through the curtain of Maya. So we know everything from the curtain of Maya, whereas Krishna is seeing everything in a different perspective. Okay? So Krishna is seeing only spiritual world. He doesn't see the material world at all. There is no material world for Krishna and pure devotees. Everything is spiritual world for them. So let's see how the Jivatma is integrated into this material realm. So first there is Ahankara layer. This is the hospital. And the Ahankara layer has machinery. Three types of machines. The first machine is the machine known as the mind, which is, and the sense Devta post. The sense Devta post and the mind, because it's not the sense Devtas, because the Devtas themselves have got material bodies. And they keep on changing in the day of Brahma. So it's not the Devtas, but the Devta posts. Here Maharaja said Devtas, which means the same thing actually, because the posts are occupied by some living entity. So what's happening is, first imagine you have to go to a virtual video game world. So what do? You wear a headset. In that headset, we have described this in our previous videos. This headset is nothing but a machine that is worn on your head. So the moment the machine is interfaced to your brain, you forget this world. You go to a virtual realm, just like a cinema theater or just like a video game or something like that. You just put a machine, you go to a cinema theater and the lights are switched off and you go into a different world. So similarly, this is far more integrated than a cinema. In cinema, you just your eyes are the only things that in a video game. But here, your every sense of the spiritual sense of a Jivatma is integrated to the material counterpart known as sense Devta post, material senses. So the Jivatma is hooked by machines, just like the kidneys and the liver, everything is hooked to a machine. In the same way, our bodies, spiritual bodies are hooked to a machine known as mind. This mind is created from Sattva Guna. As you can see, the first thing, Jnana, Shakti, Adidaiva, Vaikara, Ahankara, mind and sense Devta posts. So through this mind and sense Devta posts, what is happening is Manasa and all the different sense Devta posts are created, and our spiritual senses of the Jivatma is hooked to the material world. So now we enter the material world. Once we enter the material world, we need an identity within the material world, right? And where do you get that? That is the main thing known as Kriya Shakti, or the mode of passion that creates the identity for us. Or just like when a video game world, what do you have? You have a character, right? You become Superman inside a video game. So the Superman is the character. When you move left, he also moves left. When you move right, he also moves left, because senses are integrated. So in the same way, this virtual avatar that is created for the Jivatma, that virtual avatar within the virtual world of this material world, that is created from Kriya Shakti. the second Shakti. Basically, it's known as Rajoguna. And that creates the Chitta and the Prana. The Prana has Karmendriya and Chitta has Gyanendriya. The five knowledge, these are all subtle bodies. Kya Karmendriya, Gyanendriya, everything is subtle. It's not gross. We are not talking about gross. That is created from Tamoguna. So Tamoguna creates the Pancha Mahabhutas, earth, water, air, fire, ether. And then, so what the soul enters the mind. Through the mind, he and his sense devta post, he is hooked to the material world. And then from there, he enters into this virtual body created from Rajoguna, and basically virtual bodies are all projections on the mind. So the mind is the only thing that is created from Sattva Guna. Sattva Guna is Sandhini, Shakti's perversion. So in that sense, Sattva is the only creative potency. Other two things are Asat. Asat means that which are just projections, keep on changing actually. So the Rajoguna, the subtle body keeps on changing. The Tamoguna, the everything else. Only the mind is the thing, the machinery that is made from actual substantive substance. So Jivatma, therefore when the Rajoguna and Tamoguna stop, the Jivatma sees the Brahman, because the mind itself is not functional. It's just a machine. But just like you have a television, when the television is like the mind, and inside the television there are projections of Rajoguna and Tamoguna. So you are inside the world, another world. The moment you switch off the television, what remains is nothing, but television has no use when they switch off. So mind, when in Sattva Guna, is completely sees Brahma Jyoti. And then the spiritual television is switched on. And when the spiritual television is switched on, of course the material mind is finished, and then your natural thing takes over. And the Vishuddha Sattva means it is absolutely pure Sattva. Right now the Sattva is the underlying Sattva Guna, which we call known as the Sattva, that itself is actually contaminated, always contaminated with Rajoguna and Tamoguna, and that creates the material realm. When Sattva is overlaid with Rajoguna and Tamoguna, that creates the material world. When Sattva Guna has no Rajoguna, Tamoguna, that is not Shuddha Sattva. Shuddha Sattva is basically Brahma Jyoti. What is Brahma Jyoti? Brahma Jyoti is actually Krishna's body. Then of course Krishna's body, his heart, basically Ladini Shakti, and his emotions and his cognizance, they are all integrated. Then why do you only see Krishna's body in Shuddha Sattva? Why don't you see Krishna's mind and Krishna? Because that is covered by avidya, a kind of Samvit Shakti is covering that avidya for impersonal liberation. So you can only see part of Krishna, and that covering is Shuddha Sattva is not totally pure. It is still covered by a layer of Maya known as spiritual layer, known as Samvit Shakti. So that is a secret verse. Yadre me sad asad rupe pratisiddhe su samvida avidyayatmani krute iti tad brahma darshanam. Yadre me, when these sat rupe, in this sat rupe asat pratisiddhe. Asat is not asat. Asat is that which is not sat, which is Ladini and Samvit. When asat is pratisiddhe, is stopped. Avidya atmani krute. Swa samvida, Samvit Shakti. By his own, Krishna's own Swa Samvit Shakti blocks out his Ananda Shakti and his Samvit Chit Shakti potency. Samvit Shakti only blocks it out. So blocks herself out and also blocks out Radharani's component. So what is not blocked is Sat part, that is Brahman. So when a Jivatma is just liberated from the material world, but still he is not fully liberated. He is still in the material concept. There is some material covering is still there, by which he is only able to see Brahma Jyoti. So Prabhupada says Mayavadis are still material level. They are not spiritual level, because there is still a covering which covers only Krishna's body is revealed to them. That is not Shuddha Sattva to a certain extent actually. So you can say Mayavadis are material, but Brahmavadis are kind of spiritual only. But even for them, there is some kind of covering, and that covering is spiritual in nature. It's not material in nature actually. So that covering covers their vision, and they cannot see the other two parts. They cannot see the sun. They can only see the sun's light. So because they are only able to see the sun's, the integrated part of the light, the other two parts which are integrated to the light, like that is like the Chit Shakti and the Ananda Shakti. Just like we have body, mind and emotions. So body is seen, but mind and emotions are covered. So that becomes Shuddha Sattva. It's not pure, it's Shuddha Sattva. It's still a covering is there. But when that covering is removed, yadre me satasat rupe pratisiddhe swami avidyayatmani iti tad brahma darshanam. Yadyesho parata devi. That devi is actually, the covering is a devi. That is Samvit Shakti. That is Maya only actually. Yadyesho parata devi Maya vaishara dhimati sampanna eviti vidhur mahimni swe mahite. Then he can be seen in his true glory when that covering is removed. So that is known as Vishuddha Sattva. Pure, totally pure. Vishuddha Sattva means even that covering is removed. Then you can see Sat Chit Ananda, you can see spiritual world, you can see Radharani, you can see Krishna, you can see everything. So Brahman is nothing but spiritual world covered by something which blocks some part of, so that becomes Shuddha Sattva, but not Vishuddha Sattva. So that's the difference between Vishuddha Sattva and Shuddha Sattva. We go off topic a lot, sorry for this. So in this Kriya Shakti part, we can see that so the Rajoguna is creating this thing and Tamoguna is creating this thing. So now the Jivatma has entered the material world. How? His body is being hooked to a machine. That machine is known as the mind, and on the machine there is projections. And those projections are known as Asat. Rajoguna and Tamoguna projections keep on changing every time, and then they create cinemas and films and movies, and we are integrated into this world of dreams, dream of Mahavishnu, and we enter to this material world. And we can experience something known as material pain and material pleasure. So Jivatma can experience material pain and material pleasure. So now we come back here. Krishna cannot experience material pain and pleasure. He can see this in this Mandukya Upanishad. The first bird is self-feeding on the pleasure and pain of his deeds. The other is the universal self silently witnessing. So he cannot, he also has pleasure and pain, but spiritual. He cannot, he only witnesses the material pleasures and material pains. So he cannot experience, he cannot actually experience those things, Krishna. Okay. So now we see how we have taken Janma in this world. Now how does Krishna take his Janma? He says Swamayaya. So he is bypassing this entire system, the system that you see. So this system is made from Sattva-guna, Rajoguna, Tamoguna, which is a perversion of, Sattva is a perversion of what? Shuddha Sattva, spiritual world. Prabhupada says in Chaitanya Charitamrita, all three Shaktis, Sandhini, Samvit, Ladini, influence the material energies, Sattva-guna, Rajoguna, Tamoguna, thereby saying that the living entity is a servant of Krishna, both in the spiritual and the material. What does it mean? That means even in this world, you are a servant of Krishna. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Ainanda Tanuja Kinkaram, Patita Mam, Vishame Bhavam, Badao, Kripiya Tava Pada Pankajas Titaduli. Ainanda Tanuja Kinkaram, Kinkaram. He's saying, I am a servant. He doesn't say, I was a servant. He's representing a living entity. But he's not saying, I was a servant in spiritual world, I fell down, then I become a... He doesn't say that. He says, I am a servant both in the spiritual world and material world, and I fell down in the material world. And I'm still a servant. I fell from the spiritual world to the material world, my Lord. The fall down is being explained by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. I fell. Bhavam Budhav, in the material ocean I have fallen. And I am still a servant, here also. Like we are serving Krishna like Duryodhana is serving, Hiranyakashipu is serving, Shishupala is serving. We are giving pleasure to Krishna. Krishna is kicking the hell out of us and he is enjoying Sansara Leela with us. So here also we are serving Krishna by becoming non-devotee of Krishna. By becoming non-devotees, we are serving Krishna. So from Krishna's perspective, there is no difference. You are still serving Krishna. But from your perspective, you are suffering. If you serve Krishna as a devotee, Anukulena Krishna Anushilanam, you become a pure devotee and you serve and you become happy. Then when Krishna kicks you, you feel so much happiness. When Krishna kicked the gopis in the Ras Leela, when he kept his legs on their chest, they felt, oh, his legs are so soft and my chest is so hard. He must have felt hurt. They felt so much pleasure in his kicks. But when he kicked Kalia doing another dance, dangerous dance, this was Rasa dance, that was Dangerasa dance. In the Dangerasa dance, when he was kicking Kalia felt by thunder because he was under Mahamaya. He was not serving Krishna. So the only difference is from Krishna's perspective, Kalia was doing tapasya because voluntarily he left Krishna's service. That nobody asked him to leave the service of Krishna. He himself volunteered and he voluntarily suffered. And that suffering, voluntary suffering, is known as tapasya. And gopis served Krishna. Anything that is meant for service of Krishna is known as Yagya. So Bhoktaram Yagya Tapasam Sarvaloka Maheshwaram. So what does Krishna say? That even though I am the enjoyer of this material world also, whether you like it or whether you don't like it, whether you want to serve me, then also it is the same thing. When you don't want to serve me also, no problem. I'll dance with you. I'll dance in any fashion. Either dance on your head and dance with the gopis or dance with Kalia. It doesn't matter. So as Jai Vijay you want to serve me, no problem. That you have an independence. That minute independence is whether you want to serve me like Jai Vijay or you want to serve me like Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha. That's all you have. You just have got a role. You can choose your role. That's all. The plans, everything is destined in this world. Everything is destined. The universal film, the movie is already destined by Yogamaya. But you can choose your role. That's your independence. You can choose what role. Karmanne va adhikar. You have an adhikar for karma. what you want to choose, what service you want to choose, whether you want to serve Krishna as a non-devotee, you want to serve him. Today, right now, if you want to go book distribution, or you want to go to enjoy yourself in a hotel, eating some food. So if you go to the hotel, then Krishna wanted to beat somebody, then he wanted to give stomachache to somebody that day, and that day that person will be you, basically. So it is the same thing. Like Krishna, it's already destined. If you don't go, somebody else will go to that hotel. If you don't distribute books, somebody else will distribute books on your behalf. Krishna's movement will not be stopped. Krishna's enjoyment will not. It's already predestined. You can choose your role in that. In the movie, you can keep on changing your roles every second, every minute, every hour. You can change your roles, but you cannot change the movie. You cannot change the destiny of the universe. You cannot do anything. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur says, anybody who thinks he can reform, the reformer needs to be reformed, because the agent of the Lord is doing everything. You cannot reform the world. You cannot do anything to this world. The world is already predestined. What you can do is, you can reform yourself. In the sense, you can choose your roles. You cannot change others at all. Not even a blade of grass you cannot move. There's no chance. Everything is predestined. But you can choose your role in that destiny. Whether you are the one who's going to move that blade of grass, or if somebody else is going to move that blade of grass, that's your choice. If you are the one, then you can opt for that seva, for that second. That's your independence. It's very minute. It's not like it's not the huge independence that you can change Krishna's plans and stuff like that. You can choose to be Duryodhan, you can choose to be Jatayu, you can choose to be Vibhishan, you can choose those small, these are big roles, but you can choose the small roles in the Mahabharata. But Mahabharata is already destined. Mahabharata and Ramayana are already written before they were created. Similarly, this material world is not exactly destined, because Krishna enjoys Ramayana and Mahabharata so much, he doesn't change the script of the movie. But in the material world, the script is changed by Yogamaya. It depends upon Krishna's direct and indirect desires, whatever Krishna desires from his heart. Some are direct desires and some are Krishna's indirect desires. Like Krishna wants to run from Yashoda, that's a direct desire. Indirectly from his heart, he wants to be caught by Yashoda. Very complex. So Krishna has these desires, and whatever is a greater desire, Yogamaya will fulfill the world, and the world will go in that direction. The universe will move in the direction of Krishna's desires, and we will be part of that entire. We have our roles, and we can choose those predestined roles. You cannot choose completely different roles. You have certain roles, and you can choose whether you want to serve Krishna in this way, or you want to serve Krishna in that way, or So basically, again coming back to our topic. So as you can see, Sattva is Sandhini Shakti gets perverted into Sattva Guna. Ananda Shakti or Ladini Shakti gets perverted into Rajo Guna. Rajo is mode of passion or Ananda. Ananda is passion. And knowledge or Samvit Shakti gets converted into ignorance or Tamoguna or material ignorance, mode of ignorance. So as you can see, this is a perversion that is happening. Sattva gets perverted less, Rajoguna gets perverted more, and Tamoguna is completely opposite. Knowledge becomes exactly opposite reflection. So this is how the living entity is bound in the material realm, whereas Krishna is completely beyond this material realm. When he takes his Janma, so we are seeing Janma Karma Chame Divyam. So we are seeing how Krishna's Janma is Divya. Because Krishna has taken his birth not through Mahamaya, but he has taken his birth via his Yogamaya potency. Therefore, he is unaffected by anything of this material world. Material happiness and material miseries don't touch him. We only experience material happiness and misery. There is only two things, happiness and misery for us. And they are material in nature. When we eat an ice cream, when we have sex life, all of these are material happiness. It's a obnoxious thing. The problem is, although you may say that it sounds good and tastes good, but it's just a form of pain. Because Yogamaya has poisoned everything of this world. Because you have left Krishna. Therefore, every pleasure of this world is ultimately some form of pain. Either it is more pain or less pain. Vikarma means more pain and karma means less pain. So when you do vikarma, when you scratch something very, putting a lot of pressure, then that scratch will create bleeding. But when you scratch something softly, then the bleeding will be less and you'll feel an enjoyment. So that is known as material happiness and material distress. So when you have extreme thirst, that is distress. But when you drink nice juice, then you feel happiness. It's actually a mitigation of thirst. So when you have nice foodstuffs, for that you have to have hunger. Without hunger, you cannot have foodstuff. For sex life, you need to have an intense craving for sex life. And that is like itching. It's a pain. So that pain, When it is relieved, you feel, I am satisfied. So it's all the pleasures, the pains of this world are all full of suffering. They're all poisoned by Maya. They are full of inabilities. But Krishna does not enjoy the horrible pleasures of this world, because he enjoys only spiritual portion. So in the spiritual world, there is all the rasas are beautiful. In the material world, these rasas are like horrible. They are like contaminated shit. And spiritual world, everything is like beautiful cake. So when you eat the cake and you shit it out in the morning, it's perverted. But the perverted thing has nothing to do with the original. It's really horrible. It doesn't smell like it, doesn't taste like it, but it looks like it. So material rasas look like spiritual rasas, although they have nothing in common. So they look exactly like they exactly look like the same thing, but completely opposite, completely inverted, completely horrible. But they look as if the color is the same, So rasgulla looks white, so the shit also looks white if you eat something. So it's I'm sorry for this very grotesque kind of description, but it's really different. Spiritual anger is so beautiful. You just enjoy the anger. Yashoda Maya, when she gets angry with Krishna, when Radharani gets angry with Krishna, it's Mahabhav. Radharani's anger with Krishna is Mahabhav. It's greatest pleasure. His separation, when she cries and she goes into the secondary rasa, is horrifying. It's extremely it's like ghastly kind of rasa when she experiences separation from Krishna, Radharani. But that is extremely high level of pleasure. It's only absolute bliss. There is no suffering. There is absolute bliss. But when we enjoy ghastliness, horror, and all these things, we are enjoying it through the structure. Look at the structure. We are enjoying through the ahankara layer, through the structure of ahankara. And when we enjoy it through this structure, it is painful. The anger is so horrible. The feeling is undescribable. It's horrible. The sex life is full of guilt, full of negativity. So we cannot do it. We are shameful. So that's why we say, oh, Krishna is also doing this. We think that it's horrible. The enjoyment that we are enjoying, Krishna is only enjoying something like us. It's because the taste that we are tasting is like shit, the sex life of the material world. Full of guilt, full of shame, full of feeling of unsatisfaction. So it's like that. But there's still some pleasure, some kind of painful pleasure. Uncontrolled painful pleasure. So this is not the quality of sex life in the spiritual world. Adi rasa, it's totally different. So similarly, anger is so horrible, but spiritual anger is so good. Here, all the negative. So, but this living entity, because this anger is a perversion of that. So the living entity wants to enjoy this because it wants to enjoy that pleasure, that spiritual anger, the spiritual horror. But it cannot experience that spiritual horror in the material world. So the living entity completely gets into tries to enjoy it. First it tries to enjoy sattva guna, but nice knowledge, everything, shantaras in the spiritual world. But then it gets bored with that because there is no happiness in the shantaras. But then it goes into more of passion, and there it tries to enjoy all the sex life and everything. Then it's completely, and then it goes into the other rasas like anger, horror. There's Radharani experiences the highest Mahabhav. Then he tries to enjoy that Mahabhav in the material realm, and that is even more painful because the more pleasure Yogamaya has made in the spiritual world, the highest pleasure is anger, despair, ghastliness, horror. These are the highest pleasures in the spiritual world. Mahabhav, they are part of Mahabhav. But in the material world, when a living entity wants to enjoy and go into these rasas, the pain is tremendous. It's the worst tamoguna. It's the mode of tamoguna that gives these pleasures actually. So sex life is rajoguna, tamoguna, and then the horrors like, in spiritual world when Krishna is tied and Yashoda Maya is experiencing horror, that is the highest ecstasy of Yashoda Maya. Oh my God, she is experiencing so much horror when Kaliya has caught Krishna and Krishna is like, that horror, the ghastliness, that is the greatest pleasure. The soul wants to experience that pleasure. So he goes to a horror movie, he pays money and he goes to a movie, wants to experience, but he's not getting that. He's not horrified enough. Then he thinks maybe if I really want to enjoy more, I will go more deeper into this. So he goes more deeper and then and somebody becomes a serial killer. He like Mrigari, he half kills the animals and wants to experience the horror of Mother Yashoda. The Mrigari wants to experience the horror of Mother Yashoda by killing the animals in a halfway and seeing them in a painful way. He wants to enjoy the horror. But then Krishna will put him into another situation. Now you experience it even more intimate way. Go to the hellish planets and then experience it even more intimately. So now then he feels this is horrible. It's not, there is no pleasure in this horror. It's horrible. But the rasas are beckoning him. Enjoy me, enjoy me, enjoy me. All these rasas. But these rasas are not giving him pleasure. It's like a drop of water in the vast desert. Jivatma is completely frustrated because he is experiencing only material rasas. Only material. Nitya Baddha. He cannot experience any spiritual rasa. So even when we are doing devotion to Krishna, when we offer all the things to Krishna, we are only offering material emotions to Krishna, material pleasures to Krishna. But Krishna is accepting it as spiritual. Why? Because he is Maya cha tada pashrayam. He cannot see Maya. So you are licking the bottle of honey from outside, but Krishna is licking the bottle of honey from inside. So when you take darshan of Krishna, you cannot see, you see only a layer of Maya and then you see Krishna behind you. See Krishna, yes, but you cannot see all of Krishna's beauty. You cannot see all of his magnificent, excellent beauty. You cannot see that. You can see a limited beauty because it's covered by a layer of Maya, a curtain of Maya. So you see only Maya. You don't see Krishna actually because you only seeing Maya, and via Maya you're seeing Krishna, not directly. So it's a problematic situation for you. But Krishna is seeing you directly. So you're taking Krishna's darshan is not important. Don't try to see Krishna. Try to act in such a way that Krishna wants to see you. So the whole point is Krishna's thing. Similarly, when you have prasad, you're tasting only sugar. You cannot understand whether it is offered to Krishna or not offered to Krishna. If it is made by the same Pujari Bhakti, forgot to offer it to Krishna, you cannot make out. Today you didn't offer it to Krishna. You cannot taste Krishna's saliva, but Krishna can taste you. So when you accept the Mahaprasad and you're saying, Krishna, please come and accept me, my body, my tongue. So Krishna comes to your tongue and he's enjoying you as Mahaprasad. So that's how we make progress. Krishna enjoys, and when he enjoys, he tells Maya to release you from the material world. So basically, Krishna cannot enjoy the material realms. He cannot understand the pain, the suffering, all the feelings of the material world. We have discussed this 100 times before also with extensive proof from Jiva Goswami's Paramatma Sandarbha, from Bhagavad Gita itself, which was my realization, where Arjuna asked Krishna, so many people are going to suffer, and Krishna doesn't say, oh, suffering is necessary, what to do. He doesn't say that. He says there is no suffering. 25 verses, na tvam shochitum marasi nahi. So all these, nanu shochitum marasi nainam shochitum marasi, achhe dyoyam adayam मात्र स्पर्शस्तु कौन्तेय देहिनोस्मि अविनाशी तु तद्विधि न जायते मृते वा कदाचित्. All these verses like नयनं शस्त्रति नयनं दहति पावकः नयनम चिन्नन्ति शस्त्राणि. Soul cannot be burned, soul cannot be killed. Don't lament for other living entities. Soul cannot आश्चर्यवत् पश्यति. So he is seeing only soul. Krishna cannot see the suffering, pain of this material realm. He is saying, you're an idiot, you're a fool. There is no suffering. The soul cannot suffer. Soul is beyond burning. It cannot be burnt. It cannot be vasamsi jirnani yatha vihaya. So all of these verses, or the 25 verses of the Bhagavad Gita, they're all talking about the fact that Krishna has no understanding of what the soul is experiencing in the material world, whether it is true or false. The moment Krishna were to understand this, as Jiva Goswami says, he has kinchit jnana, dukkha kinchit jnana. He has only some theoretical knowledge, but dukkha anubhava na asteva eva. He has no anubhava of dukkha. Kinchit jnana is there, some theoretical knowledge of dukkha is there for Krishna, but he has no anubhav 100% eva. So the whole idea is Krishna is beyond the realm of the material world. He is divya. Janma is divya. And because his janma is divya, now his karma is divya. Why his karma is divya? Because he has never experienced pain, suffering of this world. So every action that he is doing is just like a fun little child who is trying to have fun with other living children. That's all. So he has nothing. His actions are not in any way meant to give pain to others, because he has never been experiencing this concept of pain in the material realm. So his karma are totally divya. When he's slapping somebody, he's just slapping him just like he slaps Madhumangal. Oh, my friend is having sex with some other living entity, so I'll slap him. Just like he just sees this event, just like, oh, Madhumangal is enjoying chas without me, alone, in my absence, so I'll slap him. So when he slaps us, we fall into hell and we suffer. But then the whole point from Krishna's perspective, it is just a slap, it's just a game, it's just a, how he's playing with Hiranyakashipu, Hiranyaksha and stuff like that. So Krishna is completely, his actions are all soft. Krishna is like a soft, like a rose. But sometimes his actions are as simultaneously as hard as thunderbolt. Although his actions are as soft as a rose. Just like the gopis' legs, his legs are so soft. But for Kalia, they are like thunderbolts. Why? From Krishna's perspective, he is just, playing with the gopis and with Kalia. He has no intention to hurt Kalia, no intention to hurt gopis. He's always the rose. It's always the rose. It's never the thunderbolt. But depending upon our consciousness, his actions, which are always like the rose, may sometimes appear like thunderbolt. Actually, for us, sometimes in the sense, material world always like thunderbolt. Bigger thunderbolt, smaller thunderbolt, that's all. And in the spiritual world, they'll appear like rose to us. So, this is another thing. So, now we understand Krishna's karma is completely divya. Why it is divya? Because Krishna never can even hurt a fly. He can never hurt anybody. Every single action of Krishna is meant only for giving pleasure to everybody. But the point is that because we are inside a material realm and inside a material mind, and we have chosen to hate Krishna, to fight with Krishna, Maya has come in between, and so our suffering is voluntarily suffering, tapasya. It is not actually, Krishna is not giving us tapasya, suffering. It is tapasya. He is just enjoying. Yagya tapasya. Bhoktaram yagya tapsam sarva loka maheshwaram. So the point is that it's all our fault that we have chosen to leave the spiritual world and come to the material realm somehow or the other. And Krishna, somehow it is Maya's fault, because Maya Devi is a small little girl. She is like absolutely smaller than Krishna. Krishna is a 16-year-old kid. So he's just like, he behaves like a kid. He actually thinks like a kid. Sachita, his heart is like a kid. His body is infinite. His mind is infinite. Nobody can fathom it. Achintya, beyond that. But his heart is very, very soft, and it's very simple. It's like and his heart governs his mind and body. So if you become a devotee, emotionally you attach yourself to Krishna by bhakti. Bhakti is actually understanding Krishna's heart. So then you can understand Krishna through his heart. That is possible. But through his mind and his body, you cannot approach Krishna. It's not possible, because his mind is like infinite. But his heart, everything is happening because of his heart. Bhavagrihi Janardana. Everything because Krishna's mind and body report to his heart. When Krishna's heart is changed, he becomes Jagannath. His body changes. His mind changes. He becomes Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. His body changes. Golden color. Jagannath's hand comes. His body shape changes. Everything changes as per his emotions. So everything in the universe changes as per Krishna's emotions. And those emotions are that of a small little child. And Yogamaya is also a small little child. So she has designed a world so that people can go back to the spiritual world, and she has done some experimentation which has failed miserably, which I keep on telling her, your experiment has completely failed miserably, and she has created a world, and this world has got something known as pain, and this pain has caused tremendous suffering to all the living entities, and Krishna is unaware of this, and he is playing his game just like he plays in the spiritual world. So he is beyond this, basically the entire concept of karma, basically. And even when somebody gives a bad word to Krishna, something negative to Krishna, that also becomes positive, because when Yogamaya, when it goes through the layer of Yogamaya, Krishna's, it becomes positive, it becomes spiritual. And when it comes out of the Krishna, when Krishna also does something, like a demon gives a bad word to Krishna, when it goes through the layer of Yogamaya, it becomes a praise. He becomes, you have no gunas. So nirguna is beyond the three gunas. Like that, Yogamaya translates it. So anything that goes to Krishna becomes transcendental, but anything comes from Krishna, that is transcendental. But when it comes through a layer of Maya, let's like Krishna is kicking somebody. He's just kicking it like, he's kicking the gopis. But when the kick comes to Kalia's head while dancing, that becomes thunderbolt. So that because of Maya's layer. So the point is, Krishna's karma or his actions are all beautiful. Krishna can never hurt anybody. Jiva Goswami says, if Krishna were to know what it means, what living entity is experiencing when a pin pricks the finger, the pain, if simply that pain Krishna knew what it is, then there is no need for prayers, there is no need for chanting 16 rounds, there is no need for sadhana, there is no need for Mangalarti, there is no need for 4 regular people, nothing. All material worlds will cease to exist instantly. Only spiritual world will exist. But because Krishna is completely beyond the three modes of material nature, his janma is divya, his karma is divya, and because of this, Krishna has no understanding of the material realm. Everything is happening through Shiva. Shiva is the only person who can understand. Of course, Brahmaji totally understands, because he's Jivatma. He knows what is pain. Narada Muni knows pain. Narada Muni was a Nitya Baddha, constantly seeing the material world once upon a time. Then he became Nitya Siddha. Constantly he's seeing the spiritual world right now. He has seen the material realm somehow. Prabhupada has never seen the material realm. Sukadeva Goswami has never seen the material realm. So There are many people who are Nitya Siddhas, and the point again is that once we understand how beautiful Krishna is, how nice he is, he never wants to hurt anybody. He's just like a small child who's angry that you left him, and he has come to the material world, and he's trying to take everybody back to the spiritual world. And because he has come here, and now you are arguing and fighting with you, to try to take you back. And this arguing and fighting is enjoying. Krishna enjoys everything. So what to do? He enjoys this also, fighting with you. He enjoys fighting in Kurukshetra as much as he enjoys dancing with the gopis. Prabhupada says he enjoys everything. He enjoys killing the demons. He enjoys fighting with the gopis. Enjoys speaking the Bhagavad Gita. So because he enjoys the material world, and the material world goes on. Because if he doesn't enjoy anything, न तस्य कार्यं करणं च विद्यते न तत्समश्च विधिकस्य दर्श्यते परास्य शक्तिर्विविधैव श्रूयते स्वाभाविकी ज्ञान बल क्रिय च. If he, Prabhupada says, this karanam, nathasya karyam karanam, for his work there is no need for any actions. Prabhupada says actions, karanam means action, like namakarana. Namakarana means in a ceremony or action performed so as to achieve a task. But for his work there is no need for actions to perform. The moment he thinks about it, it's already done. But he doesn't have to think, because Prabhupada says even thinking is an action. Prabhupada says Krishna does not need to contemplate. That's how we translate Natasya Karyam Karanam Chavidyate. Prabhupada translates it as Krishna does not need to contemplate to achieve anything. The moment the desire, if his heart is not satisfied with anything, his indirect desire, the moment Yoga Maya will immediately detect it. Oh, my brother is not happy with this situation. He's not going to be happy. In fact, forget about being happy. If something, his heart is not satisfied with a slight dissatisfaction, of course it's transcendental only, there is no material dissatisfaction for Krishna, but even if slightly there is something inside Krishna that I don't like this, all of material world will change. Everything, as every known truth to you will change. Every truth is only dependent on rasa. So rasa is the cause of tattva. There is only one tattva. That tattva is one line, and that line is Ishvara Param Krishna Satchitananda Vigraha Anadiradir Govinda Sarva Karana Karanam. That line is Gayatri Mantra. That one line is that Krishna is the source of Sandhini, Samvit and Ladini Shaktis. And he is the ultimate source of that. That cannot change. That truth is the absolute truth. That one truth is the absolute truth. But everything else can change. Every single Leela, every single spiritual material realm, everything he can change if he wants. So if Krishna wants the living entities to go back to the spiritual world, he doesn't have to do anything like, oh, I have to help the living entities. Oh my God, I have given them free will. So I cannot somehow, I will just try to convince them. So let me convince them. Oh, I'm trying to convince for millions of years, but somehow I'm feeling so much compassion for them. He's feeling compassion, but that compassion is a rasa. You try to understand that. His compassion is not material compassion. His compassion is that the living entities are separated from me, and just like Radharani is separated from me. Vipralamba bhav. That's what his compassion, that's the source of his compassion. Not material thing. And second thing, if Krishna just feels, if he's thinking, no, these people should come to the spiritual world, it's over. Maya Devi will herself come next to you and she'll give you a bead bag in your hand and chant this Haribol, just chant once, Hare Krishna, chant. Oh yeah, you chant once and then, okay, your ticket is finished. Please take him back to Godhead. It's over. Just like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu should touch people, they should go back to Godhead. So the point is that it's not that Krishna, your independence is more powerful than Krishna's independence. That's not the fact. Only fact is that Krishna is happy in any way, whether you are in the material world as you serve him like Hiranyakashipu and Ravana, or whether you serve him in the spiritual world like Jai Vijay. Krishna enjoys. He will enjoy in both the cases. He is not affected, and anyway he doesn't know your suffering and pain anyways, so he is not affected by any of these things. Because he is not affected by any of these things, Yoga Maya will allow you to suffer in the material world forever. So your independence is whether you want to suffer in the material world or you want to serve Krishna in the spiritual world. So every action that you choose in the material world, you have independence. Not that you don't have independence, but your independence is whether you want to give pleasure to Krishna in the material world or you want to give pleasure to Krishna in the spiritual world. If you choose your actions in such a way that you choose all the spiritual actions in the material world, then you start giving pleasure to Krishna in the spiritual way. Then Krishna will transfer you to spiritual world. If you choose your actions so that you will give pleasure to Krishna in a material way, like Duryodhan, like Kaliya, then Krishna will happily enjoy. Ye yatha mam prapadantam sataiva bhajamiham. He's just like a nice little small boy who's enjoying everything. Whatever role you want, you can choose. He will be happy with everything. If he's unhappy, then everything will be finished within a second. If he wants you to go back to spiritual world, nothing can stop you. Your free will, everything will be finished if he wants. But he doesn't. He is happy anyways. He doesn't care whether you are in the material world, spiritual world. He's happy with you in all the forms. If there is a slight unhappiness in Krishna because of you being in the material world, and if he thinks that, no, I want you to be in the spiritual world, finished. You are in the spiritual world already. But Krishna is beyond this. He's totally happy. He's like, he's enjoying with you like Kolavecha Sridhar is arguing with Krishna, and Krishna is enjoying that argument forever and ever and ever. Similarly, he's arguing with you right now. Come to the spiritual world. And you said, no, I don't want to come to the spiritual world. I'll enjoy the material world. No, come. I'll beat the hell out of you. You beat me, but I'll still be in the material world. So I'll beat you. Hey, take the kick. So he's enjoying kicking you. Just like he's enjoying his talking with Kolavecha Sridhar. And because Krishna enjoys it, the material things, events are happening, and you are Nitya Baddha. You are stuck inside the material realm. And somehow now you are, by great fortune, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has come to rescue us. And his Leela is only one Leela. Take everybody back to Godhead. No material Leela for him. Everything is spiritual Leela. And somehow we are, by great fortune, now we know, we have got this Agyata Sukriti. Somehow Prabhupada has come and given us that knowledge. Till now we didn't, for millions of lives we didn't even know that Krishna, surrendering to Krishna would lead us to our happiness. We didn't even know that. Just this knowledge was given to us in a very causeless way. There was no cause for this. It was a causeless thing that gave us this extraordinary, in the Leela we got stuck in the right Leela, and now we know that surrendering to Krishna will take us back to Godhead. Once we know that, it's over. It's just a matter of few lives, that's all. You'll go back to Godhead. If you don't commit any aparadhs, Vaishnava, then you'll go back to God in this lifetime. Otherwise, a few lifetimes, but you still go back. There's no, it's already over. Your material life is over. From Brahma's point of view, you're already gone back to Godhead. You're already liberated. So the point here was again that, so we see this from this diagram, we see that the way we are integrated into the material world is totally different from the way Krishna is integrated into it. So the way we see this material world is different from the way Krishna sees the material world. He sees only happiness, only pleasure, only spiritual things. He doesn't see anything material. But we see only material events. We only see material pleasure. Even if we are offering prasad to Krishna with all sincerity, with full devotion, still we are experiencing only material pleasure. But Krishna is experiencing, the more devotion we have, the more happiness Krishna is going to have with us. So basically what's happening, Krishna is like a mischievous small little child, and he's enjoying two types of Leela with a devotee. With a sadhaka, he's enjoying two types of Leela. One, he's still enjoying the old Leela. What is the Leela? Beating and kicking you. Like, like how he kicks and beats Madhumangal. Same way, he's frustrating your desires, giving you pain, suffering, giving you happiness and stuff like that. So he's enjoying that. Oh, you won't come to the spiritual world? Here, take a kick. Thamak. Bhavanand, that's known as Bhavanand. Preaching to a living entity. And how is Krishna's way of preaching? His way of preaching is not like how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu preaches. Krishna's, Paramatma's way of preaching is kicking. Frustrating your every desire. That is his way of preaching and taking you back to Godhead. So he's enjoying that. That is known as Samsara Leela. So now, the other Leela that he enjoys is Nitya Leela with you. And what is a Nitya Leela? When you offer prasad to Krishna, when you chant his holy names, when you get up for Mangalarti and you go to the temple, you serve the Vaishnavas with great happiness, you chant congregationally the holy name. These are all activities that his Nitya Siddha devotees do with him in spiritual world. So he gets very happy with those Leelas. And he's getting happiness from the material beating and shitting also with you. So the point is, in a devotee's life, there is both the things are going on. The pain and suffering, at the same time, the spiritual happiness and spiritual pleasure. Of course, there's no spiritual happiness that we can experience, but sattva guna, we can experience some kind of glimpse of that, some kind of chaya bhav, or some kind of reflective abhas of spiritual realm. We can experience it. And that gives us unlimited pleasure and happiness, and to continue on, we have enthusiasm to dance and chant forever, because we're getting that glimpse of spiritual life that Krishna gives us from Nitya Seva, because he's happy with the Nitya Seva. So now what we have to do, the entire process of bhakti is somehow to make, because the ultimate thing is Krishna's pleasure. It's not about us, You see, the point is, again, the only way, your joy, your independence is that how you will give pleasure to Krishna. You have to give Krishna more pleasure in a spiritual way than in a material way. So what you have to do is, in the material way, we have to be completely unaffected by happiness and pleasure. What happens is, when Krishna will want to play a game with you, he's like a small kid. You have to understand, you're dealing with a kid. You're not dealing with a grown-up person. He's like a small kid. He's enjoying something with you. So he'll come to you like to play some masti or some prank. He's going to prank you. So he'll come and give you some money or something, some sense gratification, some nice mataji or something, some kind of pleasure he'll give you. Come. See, look, I'm giving you so much things, so much pleasure. Take this pleasure. So his idea is, when you take that pleasure, then he's going to kick you from behind. That's his pranks. He's a prankster. He's going to do all those things. And he doesn't understand your pain and suffering. Forget it. He's never going to understand that. So he's going to give you pleasure, and then the moment you take that pleasure, in the beginning it will be like pleasure, in the end it will be like poison. He'll kick you from behind. That is the enjoyment. Acha, you want to enjoy separate from, you're still attached to the material world. Very well, I'll kick you. Take the kick. And he'll run away after kicking you. Again he'll give you pleasure, again he'll give you pain. Okay. So now the only way to to convince him to take us back to the spiritual world, because this is our independence. Our free will is there. Now what is that free will? How we give pleasure to Krishna is our free will. Ultimately, our going back to Godhead is in his hands. He is the only person who can give us mukti, mukunda. He's like the king. He's like the autocrat. You cannot force him to take you back to the spiritual world. But you can give him pleasure in such a way that he will take you to the spiritual world. Now, how does that happen? When he comes to you in a material way, with a material pleasure or a material pain, then you have to be completely unaffected. Tattenu Kampa Susakshina. I forgot that verse only. So that verse which says that you completely, when the material pain comes to you, it's completely is not going to be what do they say? It's not going to be you're not supposed to be affected by that pain. You're supposed to tolerate. It's known as Atma Kritam. In that verse there is a word. Actually, I forgot that verse. It's a very famous verse. So it's known as Atma Kritam. Atma Kritam can mean that Atma can mean the living entity. Kritam means all the karma. So the person says, I am ready to suffer for all the karmas without any kind of protest. You're ready to suffer for your karmas. Or Atma Kritam can also mean, at a higher level, the work that is done by Krishna. Atma is Krishna and Kritam is work. So the work that he does to you, the mischief that he does to you, you just simply suffer that mischief. So the point is, in that verse, we can see that when Krishna comes, gives material happiness and material distress to you, you completely ignore him. Completely ignore that person. Completely ignore Krishna. Don't get affected by material pleasure and don't get affected by material pain. So what happens is, Krishna doesn't get any enjoyment by pranking you. He's come to prank you. That's his Sansara Leela with you. He has been doing that for millions of years. That's the only Leela he does with all the non-devotees. So he does that with sadhakas also. So when he does that Leela of pranking you, so he'll come, Prabhu, come, I'm going to give you a lot of Mahaprasad. I'm going to give you a lot of money. Take this. A lot of honor, a lot of respect. I'm going to give you that. So when he comes like that, you have to know that this guy is a prankster. His whole job is to, because all these things are separate from Krishna, right? It's not like connected to Krishna. So when he comes with that material happiness, whether it is your false ego, like glorification or some kind of, so false ego means what? Anything that is related to the mind, the sukshma sharira and the bhautik sansara, as we saw. Anything that is related to this material concept of life, this seeing the material world from the material perspective, that is known as false ego, because false ego is the entire structure. The entire kshetra is false ego. Kshetragya is the field of activity is the false ego. It has got three bifurcations. We see the diagram, right? This diagram, this entire structure, the diagram that you see around is a false ego. So anything that, when you see any symptom of this, either from you're enjoying through your tamoguna, if you're enjoying sense pleasures, because tamoguna is creating through dead sense pleasures, perceptions, sense of touch, sense of smell. So if you're enjoying sex life or sense of smell or something like that, then you're enjoying false ego through tamoguna. If you're enjoying through your material body, like rajoguna, through your mind, if you identify with your mind and intelligence and stuff like that, and somebody's praising you, your mind, intelligence, your subtle body, somebody's praising your subtle body, and you become very happy about your subtle body, that is a rajoguna. So it's like ahankara in rajoguna. And if you're affected by the existence in the material world itself, any form of existence, like any kind of, whether it's a devotional or anything, not devotional, but any kind of activity of the mind in the sense related to the material world, if you're attached to the, whether up to the Brahma Jyoti, if you're affected by that, then you are in Sattva Guna Ahankara. So Ahankara means, false ego means all these three things, like your subtle body, your mind, and your gross material world, anything related to that. If you enjoy any of these things, that means you are a false ego. But the false ego is primarily seen through the mode of passion, which is mind and intelligence. So that's why whenever you see that somebody is praising your mind or your intelligence or your body or some kind of thing, then you display false ego. You call that false ego basically. So false ego is that. So separateness from Krishna, because in spiritual world you're connected to Krishna, and Krishna's happiness is your happiness. Here, this happiness coming from this structure known as false ego. Krishna's happiness is not your happiness here in the material realm. It's disconnected from Krishna, replaced by this structure known as false ego. So what happens is, when Krishna gives you a enjoyment, like some kind of praise to you. So your praise means he's praising your subtle mind and intelligence. So Rajoguna. So your Sukshma Sharira he's praising. He is enhancing that. So you're enjoying that. So any form of enjoyment, if you enjoy that, then you will be kicked again, and you'll be like, Krishna will enjoy material pleasure with you. So you don't have to give him any pleasure when he comes for doing any mischief with you. So what you do, when he gives, first he will give you carrot, and then he'll kick you, then he'll give you carrot, then he'll kick you. So every time Krishna is playing with you in a sansara leela, you don't give him enjoyment. Tell him that I don't want this, I'm not affected by your money, I don't want money, I don't want praise, na dhanam, na janam, na sundarim, kavitam, va jagadisha kamai. I'm not affected by any of these things, forget it. So Krishna will try his best. No, you take this, you take this, you take this, because he wants to enjoy that with you also. He wants to enjoy playing games with you. He's a mischievous kid, you have to understand that. Now this is a slightly different world view. It's not for everybody, because for a neophyte or for a new person who doesn't have Ashlishava Padaratam, then he will say, Are Krishna is not even concerned about me, and things like that. So, but that's the difference between faith and love, as we discussed in the previous videos. Faith means you think that, oh, Krishna has to conform to the way, Krishna is the perfect thing, he'll always save me, he's doing everything for my good. If you have that kind of concept, it's faith, nishtha. But if you have love, you don't care about that. You just think that Krishna, I don't care about whether Krishna saves me, Krishna kills me, I just love him unconditionally. So until you reach that level of a devotee, that's a devotee actually, Ashlishava Padaratam. So once you reach that level, only then you can actually, Krishna will reveal his true mischievous nature to you. Of course, he's very soft, he's very nice, but since he doesn't understand the material concept of life, he has no touch. That's why it's a problematic situation. So when he plays mischief and pranks with you, he doesn't have any concept of pain and suffering. So that becomes a problem. So you have to deal with him very carefully. You have to tell, when Krishna comes with material pleasure and material pain, you have to completely reject it. You got to be unaffected by it. He'll first come and give you something good. Don't be affected by it. I don't want it. Then no, take it. You'll be happy. You take it. No, I don't want it. Get lost. I don't want it. So I'm so saying. So if you have Vatsalya race, you can say that. Get lost to Krishna. And then when he comes to you with material pain and he kicks you, here, take a kick. And runs off. And you say, I'm not affected by it. It's like a mischievous child who's pulling your, he's kicking you, he's pulling you, trying to get your attention, trying to play with you. You had left me in the spiritual world, no? Now I'll kick you. Take a kick. Teaching. And you still don't get affected by that. I'm not affected by that. No emotions. It's like Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga. What's Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga? Emotionless. Jnana Yoga means everything is, the three modes are doing, everything Krishna is doing, emotionless. You're not emotionally attached to the material world. You know that everything is done by the three modes of material nature. Karma Yoga, again, through actions, when you do the things, you're completely unattached actions. Your actions, material actions, have no emotional response. When Krishna comes with the material action, so basically Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga is basically lack of emotions. When Krishna comes with a material attachment, a material kind of a thing for you, you say, I am not interested to play this game with you. So he wants to play game with you. He's just playing like a kid, you know. You want to play this game with me? I'll kick you and I'll run off. I'll give you some nice things, some sweets, then you'll eat it, then I'll kick you and I'll run off. Let's play that game. I said, no, I don't want to play this game. I'm not interested. So he'll try to provoke you, provoking situations, and you're still not affected. I don't care about it. I'm not affected. Then he'll get bored. That's the goal of our life, to get Krishna bored with the samsara leela. He should get bored with the samsara leela. When he gets bored with our samsara leela, and then you put all your emotions, all your heart, all your, no matter what it is, put everything. When you deal with Krishna's Nitya Leela, like when you go to a temple, when you're preaching, when you're dealing with Vaishnavas, when you're chanting the holy names, put all your emotions in there. So Krishna is getting tremendous pleasure in the Nitya Leela part of your life. But he's getting very less pleasure, or almost no pleasure in kicking Leela, in the material Sansara Leela, where he kicks you and he gives you material pleasure. So then he gets, because see, in a devotee's life, there's no karma, nothing. It's all Krishna. Happiness is Krishna, distress is Krishna, everything is Krishna. Even for a non-devotee, it's Paramatma only, it's Krishna, but slightly different. But for a devotee, it's completely Krishna. This is Ishta Devta. So you have to understand that it's all the suffering and happiness, everything is done by Krishna. So you know how to deal with that. The moment you give negative emotion to Krishna, he's happy. Like Jai Vijay, Hiranyakashipu, you get angry with him. You start doing something, he gets happy, he starts playing more with you. So you cannot give him, the only way to avoid is become impersonal, completely impersonal, with respect to material happiness and distress, or material attachments, material pleasure, material praise, completely neutral to that. So Krishna has to have zero pleasure in that. He should not get any pleasure. Whereas when he deals with you in the spiritual way, you get all emotions, all pleasure. So next time when he gives you a material offering, and then you say, why are you giving me material pleasure? I will not. So your spiritual pleasure also gets slightly affected. Then he will get disturbed. No, oh my God, already material pleasure, he's not affected. Now spiritual pleasure will also go away. So in the sense, he will be careful not to give you material, enticements. So you have to be completely unaffected by material enticements and pleasure and pain and suffering. At the same time, spiritually you have to put bhakti, like karma and jnana yoga for the material life, and spiritual life, when you are dealing with Krishna, bhakti yoga. Complete emotion, complete pleasure. You have to think you are the doer. And if I don't feed Krishna, he'll be hungry. You have to think like Mother Yashoda at that time. You cannot think like everything is done by Krishna. That you have to do for material events. See the reality. But in the spiritual part of Nitya Leela, you have to act like as if you have to act, because there is no way you can be natural, because you know that Krishna is doing everything, but you have to act in that way as if you are in a spiritual world and you are dealing with Krishna in a spiritual way. So in that way you have to behave. So when you have put all your emotions in the Nitya Leela, then Krishna will tell Yog Maya, Maya, I'm not getting any pleasure from this guy in the material world, I'm done with this. He's not even arguing. Imagine Kulavicha Sridhar doesn't argue with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. What will happen? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu comes, you have to give me this thing for free. He just keeps quiet and takes the whole thing. I'll taking it for free. I'm going home. Okay, whatever. So he just doesn't argue. What happens? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu does it once. He does it twice. After the third time, I'm not getting any pleasure from Kulavicha Sridhar argument. In the same way, when you are completely unattached with Krishna's pranks, when he does with you, and all those things that he does, happiness and distress, you completely become neutral to that. Krishna loses interest, and that is our goal. Your minute independence comes here. Your independence, Krishna, we cannot take away from you. That part cannot be taken away. So you have a choice how to serve Krishna. Karmanne va adhikar. You have an adhikar. All the end result, you have no choice. You cannot change the world. You cannot change the temple. You cannot change anything in this world. But you have a choice how you can change your service to Krishna. That is the only thing you can change. Everything else is planned by Yog Maya. For the world, for the universe, everything is already planning as per Krishna's desire. You cannot change anything. Not even a blade of grass. You cannot change it. It is destined. But you can change your service to Krishna. Your service, your work, what work you want to do at this particular point of time. You can choose that work. That work is already destined. If you don't do it, somebody else will do it. It's already destined. The events of the world are already destined. Nama phaleshu kadachina. The end result is already destined. Phal, the fruit is already done. It's already finished. There is no right. You don't have a right for that. But you can choose your seva. Karmanye va adhikar. You have an adhikar for that. And then you tell Krishna, I don't want to serve you here. I want to serve you as Jai Vijay. I don't want to serve you in the material. Just like Jai Vijay was smart enough. They said only 3 lifetimes. That's it. We cannot come more than that. Krishna would have enjoyed with them forever also. No problem. But then he said, no more. I want to have a spiritual body, and we will be. Of course, they had kind of a spiritual body. They were not under Mahamaya exactly. But anyway, they they were under Yog Maya, but they came with a pre-contract. 3 lifetimes, I'm going to go back to Godhead. Prabhupada also says the 3 lifetime thing. I've just seen that in a conversation of Prabhupada. So what I was saying was, when you understand this, so now we come back to our verse. Our verse is, Krishna's Janma and Karma is Divyam. Now you understood how it is Divya, because Krishna's every activity is like a small little child, and it is nothing to do with the material world. Beyond the 3 modes, nothing to do with the material emotions. His emotions are transcendental. He just wants to help he just wants to love everybody. That's all. So his actions are completely on a spiritual platform, just like the spiritual world. But in the material world, the rose gets translated into a thunderbolt, because we stay inside the material realm. But Krishna doesn't stay inside the material realm. He's in the spiritual world always. So we go back to, so the field of activities were clear. So why is known, there are 2 knowers? Because the way Krishna knows this material world is different. This entire material world, Ahankara, the way he sees, he cannot see at all. Colorblind. He only sees spiritual world. Maya cha tadapashrayam. And the way we see this is through this entire layer of Ahankara, Rajoguna, Tamoguna, and through this whole structure, we are seeing the material world. So there are 2 knowers of the field of activities. And what are the field? The entire material world or cosmic manifestation is the field of activities, right? And we are viewing that entire cosmic manifestations from the Sharira, from our body. Therefore, the body is the field of activity for us. Just like if we are seeing it through some machine, then the machine becomes the field of activity for us. But through the machine, we are experiencing the entire material realm also. So the entire material realm is also the field of activity for us. Because ultimately we are experiencing the realm through the mind. Mind is the machine through which we are hooked to the material world. So this Kshetra is the entire cosmic manifestation viewed through the Sharira of our body. So Sharira is also Kshetra, the entire cosmic manifestation is also Kshetra, because Jivatma is experiencing the entire cosmic manifestation through the Sharira. Or also Krishna's Sharira is the entire cosmic manifestation. So Sharira can also refer to the entire cosmic manifestation. So with that understanding, now we'll come back to our verse, today's verse. Krishna consciousness means constantly associating with the Supreme Personality of Godhead in such a mental state that the devotee can observe the cosmic manifestation exactly as the Supreme Personality of Godhead does. So what does that mean? When you see this cosmic manifestation, just like how Krishna views this cosmic manifestation, that means beyond the 3 modes. And how can that be possible? When you become a Nitya Siddha. Right now you are constantly seeing the material world and not the spiritual world. So you are Nitya Baddha. So when you become Nitya Siddha, then when you associate with Krishna, that is known as Krishna consciousness. Right now our association, even though sincerely we are trying to serve Krishna everything, we are still not in Krishna consciousness. Because Krishna consciousness can only happen at the point when we view the material cosmic manifestation the way Krishna views the material, which is beyond the 3 modes. Krishna completely views it spiritual way. He doesn't see Maya at all. So in the same way, when we see this cosmic manifestation through a spiritual body, when we get the spiritual Brahma Bhuta Prasanna Atmana Shoshati Na Kankshati, when we see this material world through that lens, then only that we can say that we have become Krishna conscious. So, and then Prabhupada in the purport, he explains further that at this point, when we see the material realm from Krishna's perspective, the entire cosmic manifestation, then we can see our desire separately. So right now what is happening is we are a part of the system, we are inside this system. We are thinking, oh, I am the body. So, tad kritam chhabi padyate. Anartham yaya sammohito jivo atmanam trigunatmakam. Paro api manute anartham. Although he is transcendental, he thinks himself to be anartha. Anartha means the material realm. So we are identifying with the material realm. So in the same way, when we think that I am the desires, this is my desire, this is that, this is this, I am the body. With that concept, when you see the material world, basically that with that concept, that then you will be finished. You are seeing all the pain and suffering of this world. But when you are detached from the body, I'm not the body, I'm the soul, then you can see your body independent of this. You can see your desires. You can see all those things as simply machinations of Maya. You can see the entire desires, all the stockpile of desires, everything, all those things you can see. You can see that, this is my desire, so this is a machine. Oh, all these things are just, I'm beyond this. I'm Krishna. So just like the two birds, now one bird is completely eating the fruits, the desires. But when he also looks at the supreme bird and he glances towards the supreme bird, then he stops eating the fruit. So right now we are inside the movie, inside the television. We have entered the television. Okay, and we cannot see anything. We cannot see the television working. We cannot see the electricity. We cannot see the electrons. We cannot see anything. You cannot see the. We are inside the movie. Inside, we are seeing a movie, Mahabharat. We are inside Mahabharat. We are seeing the moment the television is switched off. Then you can see. Oh, I am sitting in the theater. Oh, this movie is going on. This movie was. Oh, just a movie. I'm not a part of the movie. I'm just seeing the movie. So all these things. So your desires, everything, they become separate from you. You can see your desires. Right now you are a part of that. Desires are a part of your body. So you are a part of the movie. Now you come out of the movie. Yeah, I'm not. You don't identify yourself with the movie. So that's what he's saying. This verse is saying that when that point comes, when we also see this world just like that other bird. So they say from a glance thou hast come from dust thou hast come, and to dust thou shall return. So I say from a glance thou hast come, and by thy glance thou shall return. In the sense, we have come from Mahavishnu's glance, but when we glance back at Mahavishnu, we shall return to the spiritual world. So, this is today's whatever it was, realizations, and I think that's it. Hare Krishna.